Hey crafty people, welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Okay, welcome back. So today we are going to work on finishing up this journal that I made a couple videos ago, and we are going to use the mixed media masterboards I made in the last video to create stuff to go into our various pockets in this journal. So I've actually gone through and taken measurements for a lot of the pockets of what we need. I don't have a post-it for that one. That seems to be like the only one that I didn't actually include measurements for. So let's start with this one because I want to do this one for some of the tall pockets that need pieces. So we are going to cut this down. Let's see, which tall pockets is it going into so we know what width to do. I don't think I want that one. I wanted it to go, I've got this one. So this one needs to be 8 1/4 by 3. That one also is an 8 1/4 by 3. And that one's a little bit different. All right, let's cut this down. Let's see, where's 3 inches? I think, let's see what happens if we cut here. And then trim down to 3 over here. That way I'm cutting off the least amount of the paste from this. All right, now let's just double check height-wise before we go trimming. Yep, let's take that a little bit off the bottom. I've grabbed a Tim Holtz person and I'm gonna need to find a label for her to stand on. And I want to give her butterfly wings and some flowers to cover her hair. So that's what we're gonna do with this guy. I think I'm gonna start by rounding the corners, just because they tend to go in and out of a pocket a little bit easier with the rounded corners. Let's figure out what butterfly wings we want to use for her. And these are digital by my Porch Prints. It's kind of like that wing. I think I like that one. And what we'll do is we'll just cut out the body and glue this wing over here and that wing over there. So I've got that. I need to find some flowers for her hair. Don't know if I've got paper flowers that are small enough. Is that too dark? Like that. Okay, let's find a label to put her feet on. Kind of wondering now if I want to change the color of her wings since I didn't have pink flowers, because I think I have those same wings in purple, because the set does like pink, like a tealy blue, green, purple, and then a blue. And yes, it does. So let's do that. And then we'll switch the label. And the labels, the Junk Journal Studio, and those come in green and purple as well, although I don't know if I've got those cut out. Probably not, because I have not cut all of them out because it's a ridiculously large, like it's 3 sets. And it's ridiculously large. And yep, nope, I don't have the purple cut out. All right, let me go grab those. I'll be right back. Okay, so I found the label and I'm kind of bummed because I kind of like these little guys to add on to, but in the green, and I can't find those. So we're gonna leave that like that for now. I also went and grabbed my Copic markers. Yeah, it's late in the day on Sunday, and I just started filming this, and that does not bode well for me getting this done today. And I am gonna use BV02 to color her dress purple. Yeah, I ran out this morning. I had to go to Barnes & Noble's to pick up my sister's birthday present. And then I went by Joann's and spent probably more money than I should have. And then went grocery shopping for me and my dad because it's been a week. So Monday or Tuesday I went grocery shopping last week. And my check engine light came on in my car. So I get twitchy about driving my car. It like stresses me out when the check engine light's on. And I pay for the premium AAA every year. So I just had AAA tow it to my mechanic shop. Turned out it was the infamous carbon charcoal canister. Apparently every Toyota vehicle needs to have that replaced once in its lifetime. So mine had come due. And then while my car was in the shop, I got a call from my dad on Thursday just to let me know he had been at Publix and he blacked out and fell. And he basically face planted. The man's got like a black eye. It looks like he went around with Mike Tyson. So yeah, my sister, because she's far better at being pushy, showed up at his house on Thursday and is like, you're going to the emergency room to get checked out. No broken bones. I think he might have slightly cracked a rib, but he wasn't having any pain associated with that. So that was all good news. They decided to keep him overnight Thursday. Friday, my car was ready, so I had to go pick that up. And once I got my car, I went over to the hospital to check on him because they kept him overnight trying to figure out what caused him to black out, and to do more tests. So he had a neuro consult and a consult with, yep, I like that. Let's go ahead and glue that on. Consult with the cardiologist, and yeah, they're still not entirely sure why he blacked out. So right now he's not allowed to drive. And he's got to call his cardiologist because by the time they got around to getting all of the labs that they were doing, all of the reports were in and such, it was too late to call and make an appointment with his cardiologist for this week. So he's got a call on Monday. I'm filming this on Sunday to make an appointment with his cardiologist. But in the meantime, he's not allowed to drive because we don't know what caused him to pass out. So yeah, I had to go grocery shopping for him today as well. So I went to Joann's, went to Barnes & Noble's to pick up my sister's birthday present, went to Joann's, picked up some fabric because I want to they have this fabric that's sheared on the top for, like making those type of strapless dresses that like stay up on their own kind of thing. Let's add a little bit more glue to her head because we've got the texture paste underneath going on there. Let's glue the flowers on. Her head is not going to stay on. It's just popping up. Let's hold it down a little longer, see if we can get her head to stay down. In the meantime, glue on some flowers. Apparently not. Apparently her head is not going to stay glued. Do an overabundance of glue. Like that. And I think I want to add a few flowers in the vines. So yeah, he was not thrilled about not being allowed to drive because that means, he volunteers at his church's food pantry, so he had to call and let them know he wasn't going to be available to do the grocery run this week, and he also tends to go to the gym at like 4 in the morning. So yeah, he's not allowed to do that. And so I as I was saying, I ran those errands and I get home and my dogs, of course, are going crazy because I was out of the house for like, I don't know, 2.5 hours, something like that, 3. And so I let them out in the yard. And my dog, Bert, comes in and he's limping. He's holding up his back leg. Something's clearly bothering him. I was hoping it was just because we have oak trees. The acorns leave half, you know, the opened. I want to cut this into a tag shape, so I'm going to use this, just an old gift card that I've cut tag shapes on the edges for, so that I can go like this to cut them and have them be the same on both sides. And then we just need to add a little decoration for her to the whatchamacallit, to the flowers. They need centers, and I was thinking of doing like pearls, but I'm remembering this is going into a pocket that's a little snug, so I think I'm gonna grab some liquid pearls. I've grabbed key lime and lavender lace, and we'll do a little bit unclog it and then do a little bit. I'll do the green in the center of the purple flowers. Oops. Let's do, ooh, that one came out no problem. Purple on that one. And so you may hear Bert groaning in the background. So yeah, he was limping, and I checked his foot out and I didn't see any acorn shells in it. All right, I am gonna set this one aside and let those liquid pearls dry. All right, so let's move along. What other big pocket one do we, oh, you know what? Let's glue closed the rest of these, like this pocket. And I want to do something to cover up that white edge. So let's take care of that. Yeah, this is, I apologize. I think this is going to be a bit of a scattered video. It's kind of one of those, I'm like, oh, it's late on Sunday. I'm tired. Had a lot going on this week and I'm so not focused. But I need to get this filmed in order to have this to go up on Thursday this week. And for this spot, I've got a piece that got cut off that I figured I could just glue on to cover up the white bit, and anything still showing white, I may just trim off. So I think we're gonna glue that on there, and that way better, or this way better. It's essentially the same thing, unless we go this way. Then what we'll do is run glue down here to glue this section closed. All right, and we'll leave that page alone for now and move on to the other side, which I'm not loving this, which is where the envelope was folded over and sealed. So we've got another piece that got cut off that I figured we could put on. And this I am gonna seal closed, and we're gonna glue it on to be a belly band. What we're gonna do is put a line of glue across the top and the bottom, and stick this on. And then we'll trim the excess off once the glue dries. We're gonna make sure we're not getting glue everywhere else. Oh, and you know what I forgot was to get the paper lace die cut out so that we could do that. This is definitely gonna be one of those days. All right, that needs to dry. that I've got to decide what I want to do on that. I think let's do this, but let's do this section of it. This, yes, this, okay. So I need a piece that is a little shy of 5.5 by about 8. All right, so let's cut this piece. Craft a inch. Do 8. Not quite 5.5. Let's cut that there. All right, let's double check and make sure it fits before we start decorating. And I cut it the wrong way because I wanted to have this centered there so it would show through the window. And it's not gonna work this way. Definitely need to go in and make sure everybody's glued down all the way. Okay. All right. Yep. Okay, let's glue that down. I think that's everything. Let's round our corners. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit more glue. Here, there. All right, so that should be good. And we will decorate focusing on this corner. And I do want to do another Tim Holtz person with butterfly wings. Let's see, how does he fit? Bring our piece back over. If I use him, he's a little too tall. Let's see, are the other two shorter? Boy, this place is a mess. She's a little shorter. He's not. Let's see if she'll work. That'll work. We can scooch her in a little bit. Okay, so we can scooch her over a little bit. Let's do that. Put her there. Now we need wings for her too. I think we're gonna go with those. Just trying to see if there's anything else I want to add decoration wise. Let's see, this might look good. I definitely think we're going to use a bit of this coming down to there, maybe. All right. Let's glue the wings on. Now, if I had been thinking or thought of this earlier, I could have also printed some of these on like transparency sheets so that they would be translucent wings, but I did not think of that. I'm seriously thinking about possibly giving her the antenna and maybe adding she's got, oh, that's the ruffle from her dress, but maybe putting the flowers in her hand. All right, let's do that. Let's trim around the antennae so I can decide if I like them sticking out of her head or not. I kind of do. I kind of want to do that. All right, we're just going to go for it. If we really hate it, we can always cut them off after we put them on. Yeah, I think we're going to put the flowers in her hand. Okay, so I wanted to get out the label and I realized I hadn't cut it out yet, so I stopped the camera so I could find that and cut it out. And I saw these and I thought, ooh, those might look cool. Now, we're going to trim off the leaves so that they're not a whole bunch of leaves sticking out from behind her. So let's start sticking some stuff down. Let's move this out of the way. All right. She's going to go right here all the way at the bottom. So I'm going to put glue just along the top part of this label and we'll just cut the rest of it off and use it on something else. So that's her ground. I'm going to cut the tape so we don't use all of the pretty tape in, you know, when most of it can't be seen. There. So that she goes here and it stops behind her wing like that. I like that. I did not put that on very straight because, yeah, me. I'm only ever straight-ish in my projects. So cut off that bit at the top and glue that down. Here's a question. If I scoot it all the way up to here, that'll work. All right, let's glue it down. I'm going to use my Barely Art glue so that I can squish it around if I need to. All right, I was going to use my Barely Art glue, but it seems to have disappeared. I don't know where my Barely Art... Oh, there it is. We're going to trim off the leaves from these. I use these with my jelly plate. I kind of like it. All right, we're going to go for it. Trim this off. I kind of like that. Let's see if it will go smoothly into our pocket. Ha 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 ha. It does go smoothly in. And you can see her, but not the antennae, so that's a surprise when you pull it out. Well, I like that. All right. We're going to need to make some tabs for all of these things so that they're easier to pull in and out. But that's going to wait for a little while. Let's get everything else made first. Okay. This one, I just want to make this guy bigger. Because I really like how that looks in the window. So I need to figure out what's going on over here with the pocket. I think... All right, so I just need to try and figure out what do I need to do think I just need to put it on another piece of paper that will fit that pocket, right? So center it kind of on another sheet. This pocket is about 5 3/4. About 5 1/2. All right, so what I'm gonna do is go grab a piece of coffee dyed paper so that we can just do a plain background to have this sit on. So let me grab that. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is tea dyed paper dyed using a placemat to get that pattern. So we're gonna cut this down to 5 3/4. Let's do this way 5 1/2, and then do this way 5 3/4. Over. This should fit in here perfectly. And it does. Around the corners, just because it makes things go in and out a little bit easier. Then for this one, I'm gonna grab my We Are Memory Keepers. This is Cloud and Scallop. So I'm gonna do scallop punch the corners on this one so that they are nice and decorative. That'll go on like so, and I want the edges on this to stand out. And I got a question on the video where I made the journal about how I pick what color I'm going to use. And it depends a little bit on what I'm trying to achieve. So I like color, so I tend to like to pick a colored ink to ink edges. For this one, because I want this piece to stand out against the background, I'm gonna go with something like darker, more intense, more noticeable, and so we're gonna go with peacock feathers. I'm gonna grab a dauber and ink the edges, because this will help it stand out. And so we'll see our little scallop cuts. See that? That stands out more than that does against the background. Now I could have also gone with a purple or potentially cracked pistachio, which would have gone with the green on there. So either of those would have also worked to help make this stand out against the background. If I wanted to have blended in a little bit more, I could have gone either with like tea dye or maybe a lighter blue, like salvage patina or broken china. Now I do kind of want to ink the edges on this, but I don't want it clashing or like taking much attention away from this piece. So I think I'm gonna go with speckled egg, which is kind of a bluey gray. Just checking to see if I've got a dauber that's close in that color. So this is just adding a little interest to the edges without really making it stand out a lot. I could have just as easily done like vintage photo or tea dye on the edges, but I tend to like to use colors instead of just the browns. Now there are occasions where I will use browns. It just depends on what effect I'm going for. If I'm doing something a little grungier, I tend to do more inking of my edges with browns. Whereas if I'm doing something like this that's a little bit more bright and colorful, I'm gonna not do too much inking with browns. I'm gonna do mostly with colors. But yeah, it's pretty much, I usually just pick a color that coordinates with whatever I'm working with. See, and I like that. You can just see the flowers through the window. That came out really cute. All right, next up, let's see. We've got these two pockets. I've got to decide, let's see, what do we want to use for those? I'm trying to make some space for myself because, yeah, this desk is a mess. I was thinking about using this one. All right, I think we're gonna go with this one. We're gonna cut this down at 5 because that's our whitest piece. And I need to straighten this up. This one's a bit of a, because this one got pulled out of a magazine. If you didn't watch Tuesday's video where I made these, this was collaged on a page in a magazine, and so I added strips of coffee dyed paper on the back and did my collaging on the front. That did not work very well at all. Let's grab our scissors and see if we can fix that. But yeah, that's like not straight at all. All right, we're gonna just trim this down to 8. We are gonna trim this down to 5. And that leaves us with, should be 3. Excellent. So we're gonna trim a 4-inch piece off of this, which will fit, or should fit, this pocket. Yes. Let's cut another one for the other side. Let's see. Do we want that piece? Or do we want that piece? That or that. I think I like this way better. Set this aside because that can be used for something else. All right, we're gonna use this one. Should fit, and I'm not even anywhere near to being on screen, so this one should fit into this pocket. If we can actually put it in the pocket. So now we need 2 4-inch pieces off of this. Save that for something else. All right, and I am gonna round all these corners. Let's get the other 2 out. On all the corners. It just makes it easier to get things in and out if the corners are rounded. All right, so we need some decorating for these guys. It's blending in too much there. I like it better there. Let's see. Where are you? Wait, how does it look? No, I think it works best there, and we're going to ink the edges on that to make it pop better. Those, let's see. I think I've got some flowers that will be a good size and will work. I'm going to go with a bigger label for that one. But I like those flowers, so we're going to keep that. Maybe. That's my Porch Prints. That's Ginger Journals? Yes, Ginger Journals. I don't want to cover up too much of the... That is that same one. The butterflies, but I do want to add some more interest. All right, we're gonna set these guys aside for a minute because I've got my printer printing. Oh wait, I think it's done. Okay, great. And I printed them and realized they are way too big. All right, we're gonna set these guys aside because I think I've got some printables that I can print out that'll get me flowers that I'll want for these. So we're gonna set them aside for a minute and try and get some other stuff done. Okay, so I've definitely been on the struggle bus with this video today. So I've gone ahead and like pulled stuff for all of the other pockets and laid things out, and I'm just gonna walk through assembly and what I'm doing kind of thing. Okay, so for this one, this is a digital by ClipartTreasure. These are stamped bits using Tim Holtz stamps. This is one of the DIY decorative tapes that I made in a recent video. That's also Tim Holtz, and that's a $49 in Market, and it was actually a transparency butterfly, but I didn't think it was going to show up against here if it was transparent, so I just glued it to a piece of white paper. Now, the background on this is too white, so I'm going to do what I usually do, which is I'm going to grab a brush and my antique linen distress ink and just a scrap piece of paper and ink it, which just knocks back the whiteness without, you know, like grunging it up too much. This is also too white and it needs a little trimming. And for this one, I am gonna grab Salvage Patina, and I'm gonna ink with that. And I picked Salvage Patina because I wanted to keep it in that blue look, and I didn't want to go too dark, but I'm gonna ink the edges with Peacock Feather to help it stand out a little bit. And I'm just going to use the same on this side, on this one, just because I fussy cut it out and sometimes I don't do that perfectly. And then for this one, I'm going to just use, pretty sure I have a dauber up here with purple ink on it, which is probably Villainous Potion. And we're just going to ink the edges of this so that there's no, in this case, light purple showing on the edges. All right, let's start gluing stuff down. I'm gonna glue my decorative tape down, and I'm trying to decide if I want to leave that straight or cut it. I think I'm gonna leave it straight. Let's use our Barely Art glue. And I'm just gonna start with the numbers and glue down. And I'll leave a link to this video down below. Okay, I am going to pull that up and add more glue because the glue's making the book page transparent. And so the spots that didn't get glue are not turning transparent, and that's kind of bugging me. Not cooperating right now, and my dogs are losing their minds. We're just going to cover that up with this guy. Okay, let's round our corners on the bottom. Use our template, which I think my desk probably ate at this point. Don't think I put it away, and I think now my desk is eating it. Oh wait, no, here it is. All right, that one's done. I made my dog come into the back room because he's lost front room privileges. This one I am going to ink around the edges using scorched timber because I don't think anything else is really going to show. And there's some uneven spots along the edges that I want to hide. Okay, so now I am going to, again, do my antique linen on this. For this, I'm going to grab Victorian Velvet because I want to change the color. And I'm pretty sure that's the color I used to stamp that. So I figured that would work best. Although that was oxide, this is ink because I don't want to obliterate what's here, which is why I'm going with an oxide because that's translucent. And that'll just change the color. Probably should have gone with a green instead of the Victorian Velvet. But it's too late now and I don't have another one of these. But what we're going to do is do scorched timber on the edges, which will help it stand out against the background. At least a little bit. This we're going to ink with Shabby Shutters. So it adds a little contrast. Yeah, I like that a lot. And I think I am going to ink its edges with Shabby Shutters as well to just help it stand out against the pieces we're layering it with. And just kind of make the edges a darker shade. So that works like that. And then we'll put our flowers I think I like that, so that's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna glue this to this piece, like so. And then we can glue the whole piece down, and we'll be sure to have the flower in exactly the spot we want it. All right, that one's done. This is a digital by Shabbydabbydodah stamped bit, my Porch Prints. Yeah, let's go ahead and antique linen that. I think we will just do the edges of this guy with Shabby Shutters, and this is by Shabbydabbydodah. If I didn't say that already, and my Porch Prints, and I think I did. All right, let me go let dogs out, and I will be right back. Okay, I got another one that I want to do a piece of the decorative tape on, and I think I want the tape to go about there. So we're going to go ahead and trim. Let's see. All right. Trim that little bit off at the bottom. We're going to run it from here to say there. Let's trim it off there. Ooh, let's try trimming it straight-ish. Actually, it doesn't matter because what I want to do is not have quite so much of it. So we're going to kind of fussy cut around the lace stamping, but not like right on top of it. And I kind of went a little wonky there because it's a little hard to see. But I like that. All right, let's move this out of the way. Let's glue this piece down. Okay, let's wait a second while it adheres to the page. We don't move it around everywhere. I'm gonna ink the edges on this, and I'm just trying to decide what color I want to use. I think I'm gonna go Scorched Timber, mostly because these printed out in a strip, and I used my Fiskar stamp decorative scissors to trim them out, and so there was a lot of white that I needed to cover at the top there. And the reason I keep switching between my Bearly Arts and my art glitter glue is I'm much more used to my art glitter glue and how quickly it grabs, but the Bearly Arts tends to work a little bit better with your clear things like this tape, vellum, that sort of thing. That's gonna go there, and then I'm gonna grab a 49 and Market butterfly washi sticker and stick it right there. I feel like it needs more. Let's tag cut our corners. I'm having a bit of a think because I'm looking at it going, it needs more down here. Just, I don't know if that's a Tim Holtz or someone else's number stamped on book page. And just because the one edge is torn, we're gonna tear off a little bit more at the top. Let's see, let's fold it over. Trying to keep it straight-ish. I feel like there's too much room down here and I need to tear more off. And we're gonna ink with purple. And we're gonna do another butterfly washi. Just doing this to help stick it down all the way. And if you burnish it down well, the white areas around it fade into the background more. So there's that one. And now we're gonna go back to the 4 that I was struggling with, because I think I found stuff, because I remembered I have 49 and Market stuff. So for this one, I pulled out some 49 and Market flowers. I think that's it. All right, so this is 49 Market. I think this is my Porch Prints. I've got to double check. I don't remember. And this is Junk Journal Studio. This one I'm going to ink the edges on. I'm just trying to decide what color I want to use. I think we're going to try Peacock Feathers. There's not much left on the dauber, so it just gave a hint to that. All right, let me use my tweezers on this since we've got the skinny stalks. And we'll glue this down. Just use that same dauber to ink the edges on this. All right, so that one's done. This one I'm gonna do some antique linen on to knock back the white, and then I'm gonna let a dog in because he's whining at the door. This is Ginger Journals. This is my Porch Print, no, Junk Journal Studio. And I think we're gonna go this stamp. I am gonna get Kitsch Flamingo, and the only reason I'm doing this is because sometimes when I fussy cut stuff out, it doesn't come out exactly right, and you get white spots, and so by inking the edges, I get rid of the white spots. And since I kind of want to just keep the colors as they are, that's why I went with Kitsch Flamingo. I'm gonna angle the flowers like so, and then we'll add the stamp down there. Yes, and I'm gonna use Shabby Shutters on that one. All right, that one's done. Yep, okay, so I'm gonna ink everybody and glue down. For the stamp, I'm gonna use Salvaged Patina. That one's done. And this is another piece by 49 and Market. And it kind of broke when it pulled out, so we'll just piece it back together. This, I'm gonna go grab my scissors and try and get that line a little straighter. It's a little bit better. And I'm just using the rag because then if any glue seeps out, it goes onto the rag instead of my hands or all over the piece. All right, I think that's going to be everybody for today. Ooh. Let's show you where everybody goes. Okay, so we still need a piece to go in here and in this pocket, but probably what I'm going to do for the really big pockets is a folded up piece of coffee dyed paper. All right, so we've got this big journaling card that went into this pocket. This pocket's got this journaling card. This pocket is going to get this journaling card. This one can go into this pocket, and now I've got my dog losing their minds. This pocket is going to get this journaling card. We've got this lovely lady to go into this pocket. And he thinks I'm going to let him out so that he can bark, just so that I can bring him back in. And off camera, I did 2 more of the leaf backgrounds, and these were the leaves that I offcut from those flower die cuts that had paint on them that we used on this journaling card. I stuck them on as antennae for him, and I think they both need to be cut shorter to fit in here because I think it's a little snug. Yeah, my dog is like losing his mind because he thinks I'm gonna let him out and bark. All right, so that one's gonna get trimmed down and go there. This one is gonna be this guy. This pocket gets this one. This pocket gets this guy. And then this pocket, you know what, let me see, what's this one look like? You know, we're gonna switch. This one's gonna go in here. And this one, because we've got the window, is gonna go in here so that we can see our decorating. Oh yeah, I like that one better in there. And this needs something down there. And then we got this guy for this pocket. And then for the last one over here, we've got this fellow. And yeah, we definitely need to do some more decorating. I was hoping to get this guy done today, but oh, was I on the struggle bus. So let's see, what did we do today? We created, all right, so on camera we created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then off camera I did 2 more for 13 tags and journaling cards using our mixed media masterboards. Except that one. Although technically it is kind of mixed media. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.